Hi, I'm Dana, and a little while ago I posted a short on here because I kept getting TikToks that were like tarot card readings and astrology and otherwise like general like witchcraft stuff, and it was I felt like I was being preyed on because it was all stuff of like, if you don't like this, if you don't share this video, then this bad thing will happen to you or this good thing won't happen to you. And as much as I don't believe in that stuff, I'm an autistic person with mental health issues, and it started to really get me very anxious and really bother me. And I do also feel like it is that type of content's aimed at people with like mental health issues, you know, and a lot of them are also about relationships, and it's always he's gonna want you, he's gonna do this, he'll be like this, and it very much feels like it's preying on women and gay people. Like, I don't like that type of content at all, and I made my little TikTok about it and then posted it as a short. But I want to talk about it further because I feel like I have a sort of inside scoop on this whole world, I guess. Because as a child, my parents ran an entire business that was focused around alternative therapies. So we did Reiki and hypnotherapy and opiate handling and tarot cards and past life regression and a bunch of like other stuff, like anything that fell under alternative therapies, sort of like new age medicine, witchcraft. My parents were very, very into it and built a business around it. So I spent a good chunk of my childhood in a building that was half my dad's like therapy area and half a shop that was selling like crystals and witchcraft books and like that general kind of thing. And we also went to a lot of different like I don't really know what they're called. They were like, I go to craft shows now and they're a very similar vibe, but instead of people being like, here's a cool thing I made, it was people being like, put your hands on this bit of metal and then we'll show you your aura, or we can tell you who your great grandfather was through like tarot card readings and past life regression. You know, like it was stuff that I really think just sounds unbelievable right off the bat anyway, you know? But I especially want to focus on how it is for like autistic and neurodivergent people because that's my experience. And obviously like autism comes from somewhere. One of my parents was most likely autistic, and I do think that a lot of the people that are involved in these kinds of things do tend to be neurodivergent. So I will be trying my best to be respectful that like despite a lot of it not being stuff that I believe in, people do believe in it, and quite frankly it could be real. What do I know? I don't know anything. I could be the one that's completely wrong. But I'm trying to focus less on like, does it really work, and more the industry that's behind it and the way in which it's pushed and the negatives to it, you know? I'm not trying to prove or disprove anything. I just want to talk about the experiences that I've had within these types of circles because I think they can be very, very damaging. So right off the bat, these types of things and these like alternative therapies were used to gaslight me as a child. If I had a pain somewhere, if I wasn't feeling very well, if something was going on with my body, if I was having a physical issue, I wasn't taken to see a doctor. I was given Reiki, and I'd be sat there and I'd be like, my knee really hurts because I had an accident as a child and like cut my leg open, and sometimes my knee just gets really sharp shooty pains. It's a bad time, and especially as a child when this was like when I'd just done it, it really hurt. And rather than give me pain medication like I think they probably should have, my mum would be like, come over here, I'll do my Reiki on you. And she'd put her hands over my knee and she'd be like, see, it's getting hot, isn't it? It's starting to not hurt. And I'd be like, no, you having your hand hovering over my knee is not making it hurt less. I've got a stomach ache and you hovering your hands over my stomach is not making it hurt less. And she'd be like, yes, it is though. This works. Our entire business is built around this. People pay me to do this. It obviously is working. And I'd be there, still in pain, now being shouted at by my mother because it is working. You're just not appreciating it. You're not doing it properly. You're not accepting it. And, you know, like that's the thing as well with a lot of these types of alternative therapies is if they're not working for you, it can't be that like it's not working for you, that it doesn't work in general. It can't be the thing or the person doing it. It has to be that the person that's trying this thing just isn't accepting it into their heart, so it can't work, you know? And like, I'm sorry, that's not how the world works, in my opinion. And the other thing that we did that I think was like amongst the worst things that my parents did to me in my childhood was they ran a weight loss meditation group once a week where you would basically have a load of women coming in to be gaslit entirely. It makes me so angry to look back on because it was me, my mum and dad and a whole group of women. All of us were overweight, myself included, my parents included. And for over a year, these people came every single week to have a guided meditation from my dad, myself included, as like I was maybe 8 or 9 during this point, you know, like my parents had tried me with Weight Watchers and that didn't work, so now they were going to meditate me skinny. It was ridiculous. And it's the type of thing where like if somebody did lose weight, they'd be like, oh yeah, I've been able to eat really healthily and I've been going to the gym and I've been doing this exercise, and I couldn't have done it at all without the meditation. And like, yes, you could. Like, you're not doing it because you meditated. You're doing it because you have a support system here. You have a support group. You've got something that's keeping it on your mind and keeping you accountable, making you feel like you have something backing you up. That's the support system. It's not the meditation, you know? And then that increasingly made other people, like myself and my mother, feel really, really bad because we weren't losing weight and it wasn't working for us. But obviously it does work because it's working for the others. And it didn't work for that many people, to be honest with you, because it's a weight loss thing. It's about your like support and your mental ability, your willpower, and the situation that you're in at that time in your life. And like, there's so much that goes into it. I'm sorry, but sitting in a room for an hour once a week and having someone be like, and as you relax, you can feel that you're just not as hungry anymore. Also, like, I'm calling it meditation because my parents definitely called it meditation, but there were definitely like parts of hypnotherapy to it. Like, it's literally paying someone to try and gaslight yourself to not be hungry anymore, to not want food, to want to exercise. You know, it's just very bizarre to me, and I don't think it's a healthy thing to do to people, especially me as a child. But to bring it back and tie it back into autism again, I do think it's the type of thing where, like, as much as now as an adult I'm like, I don't think that was fair, I don't think that was right, I think it's this and this and this. At the time, I just felt really bad because everyone around me was saying, this works, this is the right thing to do, this is going to be so easy, this is going to be great, this is definitely something that has, you know, the ability to change your life. And it wasn't changing anything for me, you know. And like, I have really good pattern recognition skills. I often try to ignore them and pretend that I don't, because I don't like assuming that situations are going to play out the same every way. I don't trust myself to that degree. But I do have really good pattern recognition skills, especially when it comes to like things like that, where I can very easily recognise that the people that are coming in with this like very strong expectation that it's going to work are the people that are having it work. And the people that are coming in that are already struggling are continuing to struggle. And especially when it came to like legitimate hypnotherapy, that's one that I actually find to be quite an interesting topic, because hypnotherapy I do think can really, really work and really, really work well. You know, I don't think it's always used in the correct way. Like, I don't think you should be hypnotising a child to lose weight. But I also know that my dad worked with people who were like survivors of sexual assault and the like, who felt like a lot better for having had it. And like, my dad was in newspapers for having helped people that had been through those types of things. So like, I don't want to sit here and be like, it does not work, because I think that it can be like a really powerful brain tool for some people, but it is like a brain tool and like a mind-based thing. So personally, as an autistic person, whenever I was hypnotised, I wasn't hypnotised, you know? Very quickly, for anyone that's not familiar, hypnotism is a very like word-based relaxation technique, really, of anything. It's not, you know, waving a clock in front of someone's face and being like, you're gonna do what I say now. It's a very like brain-based, trying to help yourself. If you're not wanting to do the thing, it's not going to help kind of thing. It's sort of just an added support technique to try and assist yourself. But for me personally, like when I listened to other people's experiences of it, I was like, oh, I don't like get hypnotized, you know? And I'll give that this could be like my anxiety, it could be my trauma, it might not be an autism based thing, but I would try my best to be hypnotized. And you can't be doing that. You know, like I would lay there and I'd have my eyes closed and I'd do everything I could to relax my body and follow the sound of my dad's voice and imagine all the things he was telling me to imagine. And I could imagine it all very clearly. I could see it all. I'm great at like maladaptive daydreaming, but that was basically what it was, you know, like I was daydreaming, I was imagining these scenarios and imagining these things, but they didn't have any sort of lasting effect on my brain. Like I had like between 8 and 12 sessions of hypnotherapy to try and stop being scared of spiders. I think it was mostly my dad just trying to see if he could do it, you know? And he couldn't. And I honestly think that he probably could have done it with other people. But as much as I was like, I want to do this, I'd love to not be scared of spiders. That'd be really cool. But, you know, like I'd go into this like hypnotherapy state and I'd imagine this big spider and it'd be my best friend. And suddenly, like, when you wake up, you're not going to be scared of spiders because you've been covered in them in this hypnotherapy state and you're going to be all good. And I'd wake up and be like, yeah, I can fully imagine that, but if it happens to me in real life, I'm still going to freak out, you know? And I do also think it's very likely that my dad was also autistic, and that's where I think that it really ties in, where a lot of us are very drawn to the idea that there will be something there that can make us feel better, that can make us more normal, that can prepare us for the future. And, you know, I don't want to be like, it's not there, it's not real, find something else. but I think it can be very, very damaging to start to rely on these things, you know? Like, I've known plenty of people that are involved in witchcraft and alternative therapies who are autistic. You know, they might use it to soothe their anxiety, they might use it for one thing or another, but it's not their reliance, it's not their one thing. They're not like, this thing is going to fix me. You know, it's just a part of something that they enjoy doing and have incorporated into their life, and I think there is a very, very healthy way of doing it. But in my experience, a lot of things have been very much like a last ditch attempt to try and fix things and to try and like solve everything. And you know, like going to like the little like places where there were lots and lots of stalls and like, it frankly stunk of desperation. You know, like I was going to these things as like between the ages of like 8 and 14 maybe, and I couldn't really walk around these places on my own because I'd be grabbed by people that would sit me down and be like, you should have this done, you should have this done. I'd be there as like a 10-year-old being like, I don't have the money, and they'd be like, well, go find your parents and get the money, you know. And at the time, these people like scared the shit out of me. I'd like run off and not go back anywhere near them. But looking back now, it's this desperation of like, they feel as though they've found something that really helps them, that really like has made their life better and been a big improvement, and they so desperately want to share it with people, but it often doesn't work for the people, and they also struggle to get people to actually try it. And rather than try and accept that people don't want to try the same thing they did, or accept that like perhaps it is something that just has to be a part of your life and can't be your business, instead they try real hard to force people into it. And especially when you're being told, like I know that my dad was told by lots of people, like, we need you in the world, we need this business, we need this, you need to be doing this. You know, there's so much pressure and there's so much expectation, but it's all hidden behind a little cloud of like, everything's nice and we're fixing each other and we're all supportive and everything's so lovely because we're all interested in the same thing. And there have been times in my life as well where I've gotten really into tarot cards, and I'm never entirely sure how I feel about them. I've had readings from other people that I really hated because they put way too much on it, you know? Like I've had readings from people that tried to be like, and your best friend's named this, and your cat is called this, and you're going to get this type of animal in the future, and you're going to wear this type of outfit in the future, and none of it was right about the present and none of it happened in the future, you know? Like it just, number one, I don't think it's possible. I'm sorry if you're a psychic or a medium or whatever and you're like, nah, I can't tell you the future. Like, good for you. I don't think the people that I've been to speaking to at least can do that. But then you get the people that I do think it's better to do it like sort of vaguely and be like, oh, well, this like 6 of Cups means that you're gonna have luck. You know, I do think that is a better mentality to take with it. But I still think it's poor for autistic people's mental health because you're creating this sort of pre-existing pattern that you're going to see, whether it's there or not, you know. And I think that a lot of people, you know, there's definitely been times that I think I'm on the brink of like, what's it called, is it spiritual psychosis? Because like it'll get to the point where like I'm seeing the same number everywhere and I'm just completely certain that I am recognising these things from the universe. You know, like I've spoken before about how I fully thought that I'd like murdered my favourite drummer with my mind because I'd asked the universe what I should do and then that helped me make my decision. You know, like if someone's the kind of person that can take those patterns and only recognise the good and only be like, oh yeah, I saw the luck coming, and ignore like the horrible things, then that's really great and lovely. But I think that for me as an autistic person, I cannot do that. Everything will start to tie into the pattern, everything will start to mean something. Anything that goes wrong in my life will be because I didn't follow the universe. I made this other decision and it's all my fault, even though I should have known better and used my intuition and should have had this and this and this at my disposal because of it. You know, it just, And I think also, less negatively, there's a sort of false sense of control, and I hate that. I really, really hate false senses of control, because if I can control the situation, cool, I will. I'll know what's going on and it'll all be fine. Whereas when you venture into the spiritual realm of things and start to think that like you can curse or hex or, you know, do a spell to make this good thing happen, for me, I've then created this expectation of this good thing happening or this bad thing happening to someone that will be good for me. But it is a false sense of control. So the thing, you know, might not happen. It probably won't happen, let's face it. And that can be very mentally damaging. But there's also the other side of when the thing does happen and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I'm a witch. I can control everything. I have the power to make the world the way I want it to be. And then the next time it doesn't work and there's this absolute crumble of self-esteem and confidence and questioning, like, is any of it real? Was any of it ever working? And it's like, no, probably not. Like, I'm sorry, but most likely not. Like, I know that for other people, they handle it in a much healthier way that genuinely does improve their lives. But for me and for other people that I've known as well, it's very, very detrimental. And when I was like genuinely invested in things like witchcraft and alternative therapies, there were so many like high highs and low lows in my life compared to when I'm not, you know? Like the thing with assigning more meaning onto things is that things have more meaning. Like I feel like I already feel things to the extremes anyway on either end. To then have it be the extreme of like, a really nice thing's happened, it's happened because I made it happen. A really bad thing's happened, it's happened because the universe hates me. And it's this like, the whole, oh I don't remember, there's like the witchcraft thing of like if you do something you get it 3 times back and all that, you know, like it made me so anxious. So many different things just made me super, super anxious because I was like, I don't feel like I understand them well enough. It feels to me like a lot of things are just made up. And I don't mean in the way of like somebody wrote the original like witchcraft book and now it's that. I mean in the way of the amount of people are like, oh, I just use my intuition. And it's like, so you mean you make it up? Like you're making it up. And again, like if that's working for you and making you feel good, that's fine, I'm fine with it, you go for it. But as an autistic person, if I'm gonna follow something and put my all into something, I need rules. I need to know that I'm doing the right thing. And being told like, oh no, there is no right and wrong, you get to decide, horrifying, I don't want that. And it continues to drive the thing of like, if anything goes wrong, it's because I just making shit up as I go and I made up the wrong thing with my intuition. Like, I also think that for a lot of us, it's something that makes the world feel a bit bigger. You know, like, again, this might be like a very, very just me thing. I am trying to just speak from my own experience, and I keep being like, I think for a lot of us. For me, my world is quite small, you know? Like, I don't leave my house all that often. I don't really like it that much a lot of the time when I do. I have, like, my close little, like, group of friends that I stick with, you know, like, and that's, you know, like to some degree always been my life. I like my routine. I like, you know, I like to keep my world like kind of small and to myself, and that's the way I like things to be. But that's the way I like things to be, because when I extend that and go further out, I get very anxious, I get very stressed. Like it's very, very difficult for me to extend my world and venture further out. So having witchcraft, having different therapies, having, you know, alternative medicines, having these things that make the world feel a little bit more magical and a little bit more special and a little bit bigger are very, very appealing. But they're not actually doing any of those things. They're not any of that, you know? I mean, I guess to a point they can be, because there obviously are like communities around these things. A lot of people can make friends that way and the like. But in my experience, you're making friends with other people that also feel like they're lacking something in their lives. And that's probably happening for a reason. Like they probably feel that way for a reason. And y'all probably have a bunch of other stuff to fix that's just going to get ignored because you think that this thing's gonna fix it all, and it's probably not. And again, that's my experience, that's what I watched happen in my family, that's some of the things that I watched happen with like people that my family were friends with. Like I had some really strange experiences as a kid where other families would come to like do whatever with my dad, and they'd just put all of us kids in one room and we'd all just sort of be like, your parents are into this too, huh? Like we were all just like so like bemused, and like it felt more almost like we were the parents. It almost felt like an episode of Dance Moms or something where like the parents just sat in an extra room and they're just like, this again, huh? Like we did not want to be there, we didn't believe in it, and we all sort of just thought that our parents were a bit hippie and weird, I think. But even then, they're some of the kids that I got along best with, and you know, looking back on a lot of my experiences, the kids that I got along best with were often other neurodivergent kids, which does make me further think that like it's neurodivergent circles all the time that get pulled into this type of thing. Not all the time, it's not always negative, but I do think that we're often the people that are most likely to feel like we need what it's offering. I won't lie, this might be one of my least favourite videos I've ever made. I feel like I've talked a lot and not said an awful lot, so too long didn't read. Alternative therapies and witchcraft and the like, personally, has been very, very negative for me, made me very anxious, made me really struggle and question a lot of things, and I watched it pretty much destroy my family as a kid. Like I know I didn't go into all of that, and I've been considering making like a what my childhood was like video, but it'd be like 7 hours long or multi-parts or something. So I'm leaving this here for today. As always, I'd love to hear if you've had any experiences with these types of things, if you're interested in any of it, if it's ever worked for you, if it's ever not worked for you. I would like to just keep things, you know, open and respectful and kind to each other, because I understand that like talking about things like I know it's not quite a religion, but it is like a belief system or whatever. I know it can get a little not nice. It's one of those things where I think that we should all just be able to respect each other's beliefs, you know, as much as I'm like, I don't believe in it, that's my belief. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist or that it doesn't work and that it's not real. I'm just saying I don't reckon it is. If you reckon that it is, then that's fine. I respect that. Good for you. I post new content on Thursdays and Sundays here on YouTube, so please do like and subscribe. I post daily on TikTok and occasionally on Instagram and Twitter, so they'll all be linked down in the little bottom bar bit, along with you can also become a YouTube member or a Patreon member, or donate to my Ko-fi if you have money and would like to send me some, but you don't have to. I wouldn't prefer you to subscribe because I'm poor and there's a cost of living crisis, but there's a cost of living crisis, I understand that, so there's no expectation, you do not have to, and if you can't, it'd be really nice if you did just subscribe instead. If someone wants to write me a script for what I can say when I have to do the money bit, I'd appreciate that, because I've tried to write a little script and figure out something that's like humble and not pushy while also being like, here it is. I can't do it, I hate doing it. I despise it. So if someone wanted to write me a script, you can. You don't have to. I can't pay you for it. I don't want to ask for free labour, really. Actually, scratch that. So whoever you are, wherever you are, if you're having a lovely morning, evening, day, afternoon, week, month, year, and I will see you again in a couple of days.